Hello, my name is Kayla Shaw. I am an Aspen University BSN program student, and I am currently in Introduction to Communications with Professor Philip Dixon. And today I wanted to read to you my Module 6 Communications assignment, which is basically on how to avoid plagiarism within your writing. So, throughout the years, I've been in multiple schools. I've had to do citations and MLA format in high school, which is a little bit different than what I use now. I use APA now. I've used APA at Grand Canyon University, which is a university here in Arizona, and I also used APA formatting at Glendale Community College, which is another school that I was attending for my prerequisites before I did this program. All of those schools, even some of my high school courses, because they were college level, did require me to use an APA format. So I feel like I'm pretty familiar with APA format. I do, of course, have slip-ups like anyone else. For me, it's more along the lines of my in-text citations not generating properly, or my references being a little iffy. I am still learning though, and I have learned how to utilize my resources. So I use online sites that can help me cite my sources better, so I know that I'm not stealing work from others. So all in all, general APA citations, you need 1-inch margins on all your sides, a running head at the top of your page, and a 12-point font throughout the page, and a very clear to read font throughout the page. I like to use Times New Roman. It's very universal, and a lot of businesses use it, so I feel like I should just stick with that with my writing. The essay usually has 4 sections as well. So you have your title page first. Usually no one gives you credit for that. You have your abstract, which usually you receive credit for, and then you have your main body. And then lastly, you have the reference page. So the abstract and the body you usually receive credit for. I've never really received credit for my title page and my reference page. Throughout my paper, I also try to do in-text citations, whether it's in my abstract or main body, to give credit where it is due, because you don't want to forget that. Otherwise, you can get marked down for plagiarizing. When I'm in that APA format, an in-text citation is usually in the format of author date, and then the author name should be capitalized when you do this kind of citation in the paper. The last page of an APA essay is the reference page. This is where you put down all the full citations. The citations usually consist of the name of the author, where you found it, the date you found it, the date it was created, where the author wrote it, if it was a book, where it was published. The lines, when you are doing the citations, the first line should be completely normal, no indentations. The second line, you want to indent 1/2 inch from the left, and that's what's going to be called a hanging indentation. I did do an in-text citation for that reference in my paper, because I did pull the concept of hanging indentations from the OWL website of Purdue University. It was updated this year. When you're doing those, you also want the last name to come first, and then you don't ever type out their full names of the author. You want their middle initial of you want the initial of their first name or the initial of their middle name, and that's what you'll put down. So proper APA format, if you were doing a full format citation, should be the last name of the author, the initial of their first and middle name if they have one. In parentheses, you're going to want to do the year that the author wrote the source, the title of the source. Then if it's a book, you want to put in parentheses the page range that you used for that citation. And then lastly, you're going to use the location of the publisher that wrote the citation. So this would be the proper format for a citation if you wanted to write it yourself. I personally am scared of my own in-text citation writing and reference writing, so I try to use scriber.com for my citations, so that way I know my references are done right and that I'm not plagiarizing anyone's work knowingly. Paraphrasing when you are writing is when you're retaking another person's ideas and you're rewording them into your own. So the words are yours, the idea is not. So you always want to cite another person's idea, because you want to give them credit where credit is due. If you don't put down a reference when you borrow the idea, it is plagiarism. Plagiarism is stealing, and it is considered illegal. If an owner of a copyrighted work wants to sue you for plagiarizing their idea, they totally can. It is completely allowed. I cited that in my paper from Ms. Morrow, who wrote that in 2014. She wrote a wonderful article on the consequences of plagiarizing. I like to guarantee I'm not plagiarizing anyone's ideas by doing the reference page pretty thoroughly, as well as being diligent with those in-text citations. The idea of paraphrasing is also the same as quoting. They're both ideas that don't belong to you. They both need to be referenced, they both need an in-text citation, and they both need a reference page. You wouldn't like it if someone stole your idea. I know I wouldn't, so don't steal theirs. Plagiarizing is immoral. It is punished. Lack of citing something is not worth getting kicked out of school. So don't do it. Plus, someone will always find out that you're stealing that work, because nowadays there's all these electronic resources, and most teachers do use turnitin.com and allow you to turn your paper into that source, and Turnitin will notify the instructor of how much of your work was plagiarized, and will even tell them what was plagiarized and where it was from. So with this technology, it's better to just take a few minutes doing your citations and making sure they're thorough than it is to explain to your loved ones why you got kicked out of college. The last thing I wanted to talk about today was Turnitin scores themselves. So Turnitin is a website that students can submit their papers into, and the instructor can see that paper after it is submitted. The site will generate a summary of misspelled words, fragments, punctuation errors, and lastly, the plagiarism score itself. So that will be sent to both the professor, and it can be viewed by the student. Some teachers allow you to resubmit, most don't, so tough coconuts, you don't want to plagiarize. That's why do it right the first time, in-text citation, and do your citations at the end on the reference page. So for Aspen University, the Turnitin scores need to be below 20%. So this means that 20% of your writing could be plagiarized and you won't get punished. But any more than that, and you could be in trouble because obviously you've been stealing some work. So whether the citation was done wrong or you don't realize that you shared that idea with someone else, it's still illegal and unacceptable to plagiarize, so you need to make sure you have those done right the first time. So lastly, I just want to give Turnitin a little bit of credit. Even though it seems like it snitches on us a little bit, it is a wonderful resource for students and teachers. I'm personally so lucky that I use this website, because having this tool makes me more conscientious of the work that I submit to be graded, and it allows me to be a better student because I work harder at it. I know my parents didn't have tools like this, and granted, they had to go to the library and they didn't have internet access to write their papers, but they wouldn't know if they were taking the ideas of someone else. I do, and I can give people credit. So overall, I just want to say that I'm thankful for these tools in the long run, even though it might be harder right now because I have to cite everything. I'm going to be a better author and student because of it, because I know how to adequately cite my sources and give credit where it was due. I don't want to steal an idea that isn't mine, because I would hate if someone did it to me. The other person worked really hard to come up with that unique, original idea, and they don't need some stranger stealing their paper because they were crunched for time. So overall, do your reference pages, do your in-text citations. It's worth it in the end. Thank you.